Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Alright, so today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about soul ties. Debbie had asked me if I could do a video on soul ties, explaining what it is, and I think there's another question. Let me see if I can find that. Hold on. Okay, so she says, Mike, can you do a video about soul ties, explain what they are and everything with a covert narcissist? So I'm going to do a video on it from a different perspective, and I'll explain why. I have mixed feelings about the phrase soul ties. Number one, I don't like the idea of being tied to someone. I think the idea of twin flames is... I think it's at the very least a narcissist. They use it to trick you into getting into a relationship with them by saying, "Oh, you're my twin flame," and that causes a lot of people, I'd say more women than men, to be, they makes them fall in love and think that it's their twin flame. So the minute I hear twin flame, I get a red flag, like automatically. And same thing with soul ties. Now, Not because Debbie mentioned it, that's not what I mean, but I mean if I met someone and we were kind of dating or talking and they threw that out there, boom, a red flag, like, I'm like, oh, okay. So I would start to really pay attention to the person and watch them. Now, I've been watching YouTube videos for the last 2 or 3 days since she requested this, and it depends on who you talk to. Everybody has a completely different opinion on what soul ties are. I would say most of them say there's good soul ties and there's negative soul ties. Now I'm going to bounce off into real life experiences and trainings where I began to see something that will help you to understand this a little bit better, a little bit stronger understanding. So, during a training in Huna, Huna is Hawaiian form of energy healing. They had us over a period of days at the beginning of class do a really, I think it was about 30 or 45 minutes of different meditation techniques, okay, different grounding techniques and awareness techniques to really open us up to our right brain, okay? So during one of these, I don't remember if it was the 5th day or the week, but after a period of time, they wanted us to see Akka chords. Now, Akka chords are, it's energy connection. So if you walk across the room and you touch a chair, boom, you just have an Akka chord. Now here's what they look like. They look like spider webs. So essentially, when you walk into a room, unless it's been cleaned, there's different ways you can do it. You can sage, you can do a spray with a mixture of filtered water, rubbing alcohol, lavender oil, lavender drops in there, and sea salt. You can spray it on yourself and around you, and it'll cut the Akka cords, okay? It'll dissolve them. Now another way you can cut them is you can literally imagine your hand as like a knife or a sword and you can cut them off, okay? So when I was in Hawaii and we were doing this, all of a sudden for a split second, I saw this like spider webs everywhere now, and I was I was inside, I was saying, holy shit. And then the girl next to me, Trish Bull, by the way, if you ever see this video, let me know, say hello. She goes, oh my God, she blurted something out. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was, what? And I looked at her and she goes, did you see that? I was like, yeah, for a split second. Because it really broke the conscious awareness that we had when she did that. So I was kind of, okay, I was a little disappointed. I was kind of pissed because I started to see it. It's like, whoa, what is this? It was really cool. Okay, it was also a little freaky, I'll be honest. It was it was kind of scary. It's like, what the? It was like, what is that? It was cool, it's exciting, but it's like, what the hell? Like, is this real? And then when she blurted out like that, that's when I was like going through my investigation part of my brain. Like, is this real? And so that's why I kind of wish you wouldn't have interrupted that. But I did see it for sure. So a lot of people will ask me on this channel, they say, well, why do you believe that? Okay, well, first of all, I don't believe it. I know it. I saw it. I felt it. I work with it. I've done it for decades. Now, I've been cutting Akka cords and connections in between people and souls, etc., for a long time. I mean, we're talking about 30 or more years. If I looked it back, I think it's just over 30 years. And okay, I'll give you just one example of hundreds, okay, maybe even thousands at this point. Okay, so I was at my haircutter's, and she was really going through some tough times. You could tell, like the weight of all the connections. You got to remember, they're working with different customers constantly. Every day they got 6, 7, 8 new, maybe even 10 people. They're cutting their hair every day. So these are new people, new connections, and you never cut the cords with these people. A lot of these people do not have healthy energy. They have negative spirits. They have entities, etc., etc. Okay. So over the years, I had slowly, helped them, or not helped them, but explained or taught them things about what I do. They're like, well, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean energy healing? So like, I'd give them an example, and then today we were talking about cords, because I could really see, like, it was on her face, on her forehead and in her eyes, and just weighed her down. Now, when you get weighed down like this, it can cause you to gain weight. Okay. It can also cause a lot of negative experiences in your marriage and in your relationships, which she was having. And so, what I essentially did is I started talking about cord cutting and Akka cords and the Hawaiian experience, etc. that I just shared with you. And I go, well, come on here, let me do it with you. And she goes, okay. And so I go, don't be shocked if you have a really I didn't want to lead her into any direction, but a really powerful experience or a shift. That's all I said. So I basically do this technique where I wrap the cords in front, and then I cut all of them down from the forehead all the way down to the bottom one. Okay, and here's what happened. I literally felt and I almost heard a pop, 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 all the way down. And everybody in the room went, all the girls. And then I looked at her and I go, did you feel that? She goes, I felt like a bunch of popping, like you were popping cords, like pulling things off of me. And I was like, holy shit. Now she had a lot of cords, and it really thick is what it was. So then I do it to the connections on behind, and then what I do this wraparound thing where I cut all the cords. Now, I know a lot of people who've studied Huni are like, no, you're not supposed to do it that way. Well, this is someone who had never had any cord cutting done in her entire life, okay? She needed this done badly. So what happened, here's the other part of it. So essentially, they have you do a technique called, let me see if I can remember how to say it right. It's called Ho'oponopono, if I remember right. Sorry if I'm not saying that right. It's been a long time since I've said that word. So, hold on, I'm just sneeze 1 second. So that's essentially what we call a forgiveness ritual, okay? So that would have taken a lot longer, and you do one by one, okay? So what I found out, because I did it to myself first a long time ago, and I just cut all the cords, all the attachments, because I was so weighed down and so stressed, etc., etc. And man, it just felt so good, okay? It's like you become free. You're not in bondage with anyone anymore. Now, don't worry, here's the good news, okay? For those of you who are saying, oh, what about the Ho'oponopono ritual? Well, here's the thing that we all know about this, or all of us that are trained and certified in it. And it's the same thing in Reiki too, okay? So, essentially, the minute you think about someone, you just made a light connection. The minute you call someone, the minute you text someone, the minute they think about you, you made a light connection. So you're going to reconnect with the important people in your life almost immediately. I mean, we're talking within 24 hours to 72 hours. The minute you think about them, the minute they think about you, boom, you made a connection, and boom, you're connected. So one of the things that I noticed with this last narcissist was I felt like there was like this connection in my solar plexus, and it stung, and it was very draining, okay? And so what I did was I pulled out the energy and I cut the cord, okay? So boom, it was cut. So then I noticed about, I think it was 3 or 4 days later, it came back and I was like, whoa, what the hell? Well, they obviously were focusing on me again. And so they made the connection again. So all I had to do was just pull it out and do it again. So here's essentially what happens. We're calling this soul ties. Well, it is a tie for sure, and it is. And now Debbie did ask, with a covert narcissist, so that's what we're talking about. So, and that's essentially what this channel is about, anyways. Covert narcissists. So here's what happens when you walk away from a narcissist, or if they get rid of you, however they do it, discard you. Essentially what's going to happen, they're going to think about you. So essentially what's going to happen is in their life, the person they thought was going to take over your position didn't turn out so well. So now they're going to try to come back to you. They're going to think about you. They're going to focus on you. Who knows? They may even pray to bring you back or whatever. And boom, you get that connection again. It might be a week later. It might be a month later. It might be 2 months later. So you just disconnect it. Okay, so now watch this. So number one, it can be draining. It can be exhausting. Okay, I do understand that. Number two, so what I noticed was it's almost like they knew that I was disconnecting with them, because it was like boom, they would constantly come back. And so I just constantly kept cutting the cord. I just kept doing it, and eventually I realized oh, they're going to give up after a while. And that's what I did, because I'm a honey badger. I am relentless. I am not going to stop. Now here's a way you can do it at home, and once in a while I will do this. I will literally just take a salt bath. Now I prefer sea salt. That's what I buy. I actually go to the dollar store. They have these big granular salt things, these little things, and I pour in, I don't know, about 2 cups and maybe 3 cups, maybe a little more. I pour in, I don't know, about 6 to 8 ounces of rubbing alcohol into the hot bath. And I pour in a couple drops of lavender, and I just, sit in it. I splash it over my head, over my hair, and my face, because salt disconnects aqua cords. And so does rubbing alcohol. So rubbing alcohol also immediately. So sometimes if I'm in a hurry, I'll just get rubbing alcohol, I'll splash a little in my hands. I'll kind of rub it on top of my head, my forehead, my ears, my throat, my heart, my solar plexus, and right below my belly button. I'll even do my belly button and just disconnect all that right there. Now here's another thing. The reason why when you go to the beach and you spend 2-3 hours there and you come home and you just feel, you might feel tired from the sun or swimming or whatever, but you just feel refreshed. You feel alive. You feel free. Some people say it's like I'm a kid again and I can just run around and enjoy life. I don't feel weighed down. Yes, it's because the mist from the water, from the waves, or going into the ocean was cutting the cords, and it got rid of them. So that's why when you go to the ocean, you come home, you just feel good and you don't know why. Now, this can work in streams and also lakes and ponds, even though it's not, what's the word, not salty, so to speak. But there's minerals. Minerals are very, what's the word I'm looking for? It helps your electrolytes, your electrical system, and that's what salt does too. Salt, that's why you have to get salt in your system, in your bloodstream. So, and not only your bloodstream, but for your nerves, for everything, so the signals can transfer through very well, okay? So salt helps electricity, like your heartbeat, your muscles, etc., etc. And also your brain, helps your brain function really well. That's why potassium, minerals, and salt are very important. All right, so let me add one more piece on here, okay? So I think I first learned it in physics, and I learned it during a personal development training. Again, I learned it during the Hawaiian training also. So here's essentially how it's okay. First I learned it was actually in science class, probably in 9th, 10th, or 11th grade. I don't remember what class, but they were talking about, and you could actually find a video on YouTube about this, where they would have this coiled wire that would be like 20 miles long, or I forget, or maybe even longer, 100 miles long, that was coiled up and was going all the way around the room and came all the way back, but it was coiled. And so what they found was that minute you hit the one end with electricity, it hit the other end. Like it went all the way through it, like instantly. And they couldn't figure out, like, how is that possible that it can travel that many miles and instantly be on the other side? It's not like it's a millionth or a billionth or a trillionth of a second. It's like almost instant. So let's say you have a I'm so sorry. I'm forgetting the technical terms. I'm gonna have to make them up. Forgive me. But you'll get the idea. So let's say you have like an electron, okay, or a molecule with electrons around it. So let's say there's an equal and opposite electron, like its twin, like all the way out to Pluto, or even in another galaxy, even farther than like 10 times farther than Pluto, okay, or even 100 times. The minute this one electron spins, the other one spins. The minute this one feels an electric shock, the other one feels it's instant, and vice versa. Okay? So a soul tie can literally be hundreds of light years away. It can also be in different time dimensions. Okay? It doesn't matter. Soul ties go from A to B anywhere. Okay? So the more I understood physics and, how everything, electrons and, how all this stuff worked, I started going, wait a minute, so that means I can literally do energy healing on someone here in California, and they could be asleep in Europe or London or China or whatever. It doesn't matter. And so okay. Now you got to remember something. The first time I did energy healing, the very first time outside of a training, was on my girlfriend who was at work. It was about 35 minutes away, and she called me literally minutes through 2, 3, 5 minutes after, and she goes, "Hey, are you doing energy healing on me?" Now I never realized, she knew I was taking the trainings and stuff, but I'd never done it on her before. It was never anything we really discussed, and that's why I thought, like, well, I go, how do you know? She goes, I can feel it. I feel this cool energy coming down inside my head into my body, and it feels really good. It feels really light and feels like very loving. It's like, yeah, I sent light, love, and energy healing into you. So because of what I learned about energy, electricity, how all molecules, electrons, atoms, etc., how all of this works, I was like, oh, okay. So then I began to do it more, have greater understanding of it, which gave me a greater ability to do it, to get greater and greater results. So here's the deal. Soul ties can be cut. They can be disconnected / broken, etc. It's not that big of a deal. I think that's pretty much, I'm going to leave it at that, because I think it was important for you guys to understand that, yeah, you can absolutely cut soul ties. It's not a problem. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you guys have questions, that'd probably be the best way to go about it, because there's so many different, oh yeah, there's one more thing I want to say about this. So over the last few days, 3, maybe 4 days or so, I was watching different videos, and one guy was essentially talking about it, and there was even a Christian video that says, no, we don't believe in soul ties, it's not in the Bible. And then all the rest of the Christians were like, yeah, it's in the Bible, it's spoken here, blah, blah, blah. And so here's my point. None of them had a way for you to actually cut soul ties. And one guy goes, well, you just kind of, sort of, I'm like, he has no idea what he's talking about. He's just jumping in there talking about something that he doesn't know what he's talking about. So what I'm trying to say is this: you absolutely can cut ties, whether it's aqua cords, soul ties, etc. Alright, that's it. I'm going to leave it at that. Hey, this is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Remember, click subscribe, click like, make a comment. And if you want to, go ahead and make a donation. There's a donation link, a PayPal link in the description box beneath the video. Alright guys, God bless you. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.